We should be live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello everybody and welcome to another live stream on twitch.tv/xMattyG. It is the AOR F1 2013 League for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I am xMattyG, Matt, and joining me once again, where both of us are a little bit worse for wear, I must admit. I am hungover, very hungover, and the man who's just had a little bit of a snigger there is a person who is apparently a zombie after 24 hours worth of not sleeping. So, hello Fisi.
Yep. Hey, I'm back again, and well, I'll be trying my best to get through this commentary as best we can. I just coming off a 24-hour team race on iRacing, so I haven't slept since yesterday morning, but I'm sure we'll get through it somehow. And
it's going to be an uphill battle. I think it's going to be a bit of a marathon.
Yeah.
This
Hopefully the drivers can keep us awake.
Yes,
with some
I
good
really,
racing.
if it's one of the most boring races, I may well fall asleep halfway through the stream. I'm not going to lie. My voice, by the way, is quite deep and just sounds a little bit broken. That's because I went to Britain's Got Talent yesterday and was in the audience, so I was screaming for about 6 hours, then went out. So it's not good. So my voice is a little bit, I don't know, a bit brutal, a bit kind of rough. So I'm sorry for that, and I will try my very best to keep myself hydrated. And once I've run out of squash, I'm then going to move on to Fanta and vodka. So vodka obviously being the last of my of options. Otherwise I might be a bit drunk by the end of the stream, but which I'm not going to do. I could not touch alcohol right now. Anyway, the drivers are on the track right now for the Hungarian Grand Prix here in Budapest. And there are some first sectors coming in, Fisi. For those of you guys who have not watched the stream before, I am in the pit garage looking at the sector times of the drivers in qualifying, whereas Fisi is out on the track looking at who is going fast. So
yeah, but first, before we get there, sorry to cut you off there, Matt,
yes.
but I kind of need to quickly go through the events of last week because there's been a bit of a development in the results.
Okay, fair enough.
So here you have the updated results from round 8 at Germany. Yes, Yi, who did cross the line first in that race, was well. The couple of incidents that he had with the Limitless was brought forward to the stewards.
Sorry, just to cut in. Sorry, I need to say Martin set a lap time of 1:16.526 and retired already from the qualifying session.
Oh my word!
We have 3 people on a 1:16.5. Guys, I think this is going to be a good stream.
Which is why I need to get through this very quickly. So basically, for the incident on lap 26 last time out, where Yi cut across into Limitless in the braking zone for turn 1, he received a 10-second penalty for that, and therefore was demoted from the first place into 3rd place in that race. The incident that happened on the final lap between the two were deemed as a racing incident, so no further action on that one. But you can see how that affects the results there, and a quick look at how that affects the Drivers' Championship as well. He, who did briefly move up to 3rd, doesn't do that after all. He's now 1 point behind Brocek in 4th place in the standings, and the gap between Martin and Limitless is now only 11 points.
Thank you very much, Fisi. So, drawing our attention now back to the qualifying session, there is 5 drivers separated by 1.5 tenths in this qualifying session. The big news being that Martin, who is currently at the head of the pack with a 1:16.526, has actually already retired from this qualifying session. Not sure if it's because he was quite happy with that and maybe near to what his personal best has been. However,
I think it will be that. Yeah,
it's a little bit close, and I'm surprised he's already retired. So maybe he literally had nothing left in the tank, and that's the greatest lap he's ever done. However, I've seen on Twitter a few things about people mentioning 0.2s and 0.3s. So, Fisi, it leaves it a little bit open.
Yeah, that's quite surprising actually. I haven't been looking too much on Twitter regarding lap times. Well, I'm going to quickly actually look at what the Season 8 pole time was there, because that's always quite relevant on the same game. In Season 8, Tyrrell Rosberg took pole there with a 16.3, and Limitless had a 16.4, UMAT had a 16.6, and I had a 16.8. That was the top 4 on that occasion. So, yeah, well, it's quite surprising then that Martin has retired with a 0.5, to be honest, because it's clearly possible to do a better lap.
It is.
But, well, he just must be very happy with it.
Yeah, so I think it's probably, you'd kind of see a 16.5 as a banker lap, but Martin obviously quite happy with it going and retiring. Right now, I think most of the drivers are either on their out laps or back in the pits to change onto another set of fresh tyres. But I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Limitless is down in 5th place at the moment, which puts him under some serious pressure going into turn 1 if he stays around that 5th place mark, because a 16.6 isn't slow. and it's fractions of a second they're trying to find round here, as you can see by the differences in the times. So it's going to be interesting to see if Limitless can improve, because although he's put a banker in, 5th place is not good enough, despite coming away with the victory last time out at Nürburgring.
Yeah, so it looks to be another very interesting qualifying session there. Martin has the upper hand at the moment, but the other guys have not retired from the session, and we will be looking to displace him. Unleashed, to be honest, very impressive for him to be in P2 there. And Brocek, who took pole, of course, in Silverstone a couple of races ago, also very, very close. Yi, kind of the controversy man after the previous race, also very much on the pace in 4th at the moment. And Limitless can never look away from him as well. So I'll try to go out of the track back again now. So hopefully some people will be starting to get out for their second runs in a second.
You kind of just completely cut out on my Skype, so I'm not sure what you said for the last sort of 3 words. But
all right.
Anyway,
no, it's
I'm
probably
hoping
not
everyone else has
something
heard.
very
Doesn't
important.
matter if I've heard or not, really. Let's be real. But okay, so looking forward then. I mean, Martin obviously quite disappointed with his performance last time out at the German Grand Prix. Wow, actually, Cryo Lockdown, just having a look, has just popped himself into 6th place with a 16.7. 0-0, which is still less than 2/10 off pole position, and set the fastest of anybody in first sector. But Orbit Pride has now taken provisional pole position with a 1:16.441 out of absolutely nowhere. Didn't set a purple sector time in any of his sectors, yet set the fastest lap of the session.
That must be just a very consistent lap then, in terms of just getting a very good time for every sector. Even if none of them were, the best of the session. Can you let me know how Unleashed is doing? Because I'm end up on board with him. Currently P3.
Currently P3, and his first sector very much up with the leaders at the moment. So right now 28.2 in the first sector is competitive.
He's run wide a bit there in the final sector, and he had a bit of a squabbly chicane as well. So I think this won't be an improvement for him. So I'll try to find someone else.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Brocek then behind him. Let's see what he is up to. Just completed 1 minute of his lap, so he's got about 15 seconds to go before he reaches the line. Around the final couple of corners now.
I think he'll probably pit with the sectors he's got.
Yeah, he will as well. Yeah. Okay, so both Unleashed and Brocek not particularly happy then with their second attempt.
So is Jason and Leobot.
There we go, yeah.
Also putting on
board with you now.
Pretty good first sector times. Limitless improves to 2nd place with a 1:16.524, displacing Martin by 0.002 of a second. So Martin may well be kicking his heels, just kind of thinking, why did I retire so early in the session? Martin obviously thinking that it was going to be quite a good lap. And I think, it is thousandths of a second, and you can find that even on your personal best. And I'm very surprised to see the championship leader retire so early in the session.
Absolutely, and we just saw Yi as well aborting his second run, and let's see if Jason will do the same. Jason's sitting in 9th at the moment. No, he does carry on. The first I've spectated now that he actually does finish a lap, so that's good. He has a 1:17.1 at the moment, and he improves by 2/10 to 16.9, but it does not improve his position at the moment. And at the moment, it looks like most drivers are in the pits, but I'll try to find a couple on the track. Hunter Stales out there, outside the top 10 at the moment. But I think the main runners will be kind of in the pits, getting ready for the final attempt now.
So we've got quite a few people watching this time out, because I put a video out just to let people know. So if you are new to this channel, this stream, then please do follow the Twitch stream, because then you'll see these weekly live streams. I mean, we're so dedicated to put this today out for you, because I feel horrendous, so does Fisi, yet we're still committed to producing the content for you guys. So if you do enjoy these streams, then please do follow the channel, and yeah, so pretty much so you don't miss out on any of the action moving forward towards the end of the season, because right now we have 3/10 separating the top 8, which is ridiculous. That is so close. And I mean, if you have a look, it's less than a 1/10 between 2nd and 6th. So anything can happen in the last 5 minutes of this session, and I'm pretty sure it is going to be. And I would not be sitting very comfortably if I was Martin in 3rd place at the moment.
Yeah, considering he did retire from the race, cannot improve, unlike all the other guys around him. And, well, that anything might happen, and I think anything will happen here, considering how close it is. Literally all of the top 6, possibly even top 7. Cryo Lockdown on a solid lap as well. all of them could potentially sneak in with the pole, just with a couple of tenths improvement on the lap time.
Most definitely, yeah. And I mean, Cry Lockdown has the fastest of anybody in the first sector, so if he can be a little bit more consistent in that middle and last sector, then potentially he could put himself right in the mix. So I think it's also quite interesting to point out that, I mean, for me personally, when I was racing in AOR, if I retired, if I did a really good lap, which was never really ever happened in AOR, but if I did and I retired early in the session, I kind of felt not as prepared going into the race because I'm just sat around for about 12 minutes. I don't know about you, but I mean, I actually preferred to be out on the track, just going around, just keeping it sort of dialed in completely. And I'm going to cut across myself here because Brošek has set the fastest first sector of anybody so far, down in 5th place at the moment. TSR Unleashed, also a very competitive first sector in 4th. And Brošek, a middle sector, 26.4. Fisi, we need to follow him because I think we're going to have a new pole sitter.
Well, yeah, I am following him. It looked a little bit cautious on the braking there for the 3 corners from the end. Not sure what number that is, but and yeah, he must have messed up somewhere in the final sector because he just goes straight into the pits again.
Really?
Brošek after being on a good
that
one.
Is odd because I mean, unless he was in corner cut or something, or maybe he was just on an in lap. But I mean, he set the fastest first and second sector. And I mean, you don't set a fast first sector unless you're on your flying lap and you're on your freshest of tyres. Because I mean, 28.1 was rapid, so I'm not sure what's gone on with Brošek there. I bet he is very disappointed because right then he was probably 2 tenths. He was probably going to put in a 0.2.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the minimap that there are a couple of cars that also have gone into the pits, but there was one guy that just crossed the lines. I don't know if you saw any updates on the scoreboard.
No, not any that was noticeable anyway. Orbit Pride is on a lap at the moment, but his middle sector's let him down slightly, a couple of tenths slower than everybody else.
Yeah,
so
it was.
Yi has improved to 5th place, so he's now displaced Brošek and pops himself in with a 1:16.567 and now retires from the race. So Yi cannot improve any further in this session, and I mean, it's just, they are bunching up even closer in that mid pack.
Yeah, and speaking of mid pack, NLR Evo running well, sitting in P8 at the moment. He's about to not improve a lap actually. He did complete a lap, not improve it, and retires because he won't have time to set on a lap. As we just go on board with Jason starting his final attempt, and I don't know, let me know obviously if one of the guys further up are on a stonking lap, but for now I'll stay on board with Jason since he just started one and it feels appropriate. So if you guys still in the pits, and they'll have to get out pretty soon if they won't have time to get one final run in.
Definitely. So I think Orbit Pride just came into the pits, so he might have enough time to change tyres and come out for one flying lap. I'm seeing obviously Martin's retired, Yi is retired, Evo is retired, and Leobot is potentially in the pits. I don't know if he's retired or not. So everybody else out on track at the moment. Hunter Stale finishing his lap time or coming into the pits didn't improve. He is down in 11th place with a 1:19.1, so very much off the pace there for Hunter Stale. And he really will need to pick that up before the end of the session if he wants to improve on last place on the grid at the moment.
Yeah, well, Hunter Stale obviously not on a particularly great run of form at the moment. Last 5 races, he has not scored any points. After he got a 10th place finish and a 9th place finish in race number 2 and 3. At least he's finished every race, but yeah, he's not scored too many points this season. As Jason comes around the final corner now to complete what, well, he will have time to get one more lap in because he did not improve on that occasion. He stays in P9 again, although he does back off, so he clearly doesn't have fuel to go for another lap. So Jason's gonna be P9 then at best. Let's see who is on a flyer at the moment.
Is currently on a lap at the moment. Just set the first sector, 28.3. Actually, quite disappointing. However, Brošek once again setting a purple first sector, 2 tenths faster than Limitless's first sector on this current flying lap. And I think if Brošek can get these sectors together, he could. Well, he's down in 6th at the moment. He really is not using the pace that he clearly has to get himself up on the grid for the race.
And Limitless retires from the race, so I'm not sure he clearly...
Yeah, must have made some sort of mistake. His first sector was a little bit mediocre. Brošek, fastest in the middle sector as well, Fisi. So here we go.
He had a very nice chicane.
Cryo Lockdown actually as well, a 28.1 as well. So Cryo Lockdown could put himself right in the mix as well if he has a good middle and last sector.
Very interesting, and we're following Brošek around the final corner now, taking a very wide entry to get the best possible run onto the straight, and that looks nice and clean with a line through there. And it is the 16.3 for Brošek to go provisional pole, and we got Orbit Pride and Lockdown, I think, as well, still on a lap. So Orbit Pride, who just lost the provisional pole, he still has the chance to get it back, but I'm not sure what his first sector was like. and I'm guessing you're probably back.
Yeah, I'm back
out of
watching,
the pit.
unfortunately. Lockdown,
Yeah.
disappointing once again. Such a good first sector. Couldn't improve on his 16.7. But I think, yeah, Orbit Pride, probably all eyes on him at the moment to see if he can improve.
Absolutely, and he's just starting the final sector here. No idea whether or not he's up on his current time, but he keeps going, so he's trying to go for it. Kelly feels like he has a chance. If he can nail this final sector, that'd look a little bit wobbly in the entry to the penultimate corner. They missed the apex ever so slightly as well. Slightly less wide of an entry to the final corner compared to Brochek.
Quite fast, actually.
Gets a nice line. He did carry a good amount of speed through it, and he is a 0.4, so I don't think he improved. But he stays P2, obviously, so it's still a great qualifying for him. And Leobot's last man to cross the line in the qualifying session, and also does not improve.
Take us through the results, Fisi.
So, the results then. Brochek on pole again for the second time in the last 3 races. Orbit Pride, who did get pole last time out, very surprisingly then gets P2 again. So again, a very great qualifying for him. Limitless P3, crucially just ahead of championship rival Martin there in P4. Unleashed gets ahead of Yi, and then Lockdown in P7, only 3 tenths. So actually, just over 2 tenths separating the top 6. That's the main thing, really. Evo in 8th, Jason 9th, Leobot 10th. Some AOR veterans there, and then Hunter's Tale, quite disappointingly, 2.5 seconds off the pace in 11th place. And Lest F1, yeah, worth mentioning. Lest F1 actually disconnected from the session right at the start, and I haven't seen him rejoin, as far as I can remember.
No, I
don't know if you've seen it. So unfortunately, he might miss the race.
So we've got 332 people currently watching this, which is fantastic to see, considering it's such an old game in comparison to what we've got currently now on the next-gen console. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in for this race, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to let us down from the qualifying anyway. It looks like it's going to be a very close race, and obviously with Brochek on the front row with Orbit Pride, it's going to be great, because obviously the favourites going into this race, well, for me personally, would be Limitless and Martin again. Purely because I think their racecraft and their strategy is a little bit better, as we've lost connection to Hunter's Tale, who was at the back of the grid anyway, so it's not particularly sort of impactful for the front of the race
as a whole. But yeah, obviously a shame for him.
It's a shame, of course it is. And, but it'll be interesting to see how Brochek handles, obviously, the Season 9 champion on pole position once again. Can he actually convert it into a victory this time?
That'll be very interesting to see, because let's see, at Silverstone, when he was on pole, he dropped down to 4th in the race. So yeah, I seem to remember he was it that race he was battling Martin quite a bit on the first stint, but then dropped down a bit later. Or was that Bahrain? I think there was one of the two anyway. But either way, Brochek dropped down. The last time he was on pole.
They're pretty similar tracks, aren't they, Fisi?
Yeah, almost the same name. So I'm just gonna show you all the overview of the drivers in the garage as we keep talking, and I guess I get to go through another little history lesson again. Usually go through Season 7 and Season 8, since those were on the same game as this. Although Season 7, we didn't actually do this track because of some kind of issues. I was kind of in the process when ARL was being transferred over to AOR. It was all kind of hectic, and the race got cancelled because of all that stuff going on. But Season 8 around Hungary was won by Tyrrell Rosberg on that occasion, ahead of UMAT by 1.5 seconds.
Oh, that was a good race, actually.
We see neither of you guys driving right now, and Tyrrell Minty was third on that occasion. He also obviously isn't driving in this race today. But Limitless, the highest out of the current drivers, in 4th then, and he was 3/10 of a second ahead of Brochek on that occasion. And I cannot see. Actually, Leobot was 8th, and that's about it actually for the drivers that is racing today.
There you go. That's the roundup of dreams from Fisi Fan 91 there. The man who has not slept or been in his bed for God knows how many hours. So fair play to you, Fisi.
It's about 32.
32 hours.
Hours that I haven't slept for yet.
No, Limitless is disconnected. Unbelievable.
Oh, fuck me in the arse.
Yeah, that's professionalism out the window. Limitless has disconnected from the race. Oh my goodness me. This man cannot get any luck in this league, and I mean, he hasn't had any issues with his connection, and all of a sudden,
that's the first time this season.
He's gone. He's left. Well, he hasn't left at all, and I'm pretty sure he is going to be a very, very angry Brit tonight.
Well, yeah, that's the last thing we want, to have another championship battle involving Limitless get ruined by him getting disconnected. we can only hope it's a case of this one race if it is like this, but yeah, that's obviously going to give Martin a huge chance to benefit by getting some points on him now, and that's just a huge shame for what could have been a very interesting race involving him. I'm sure it'll still be an interesting race, but it would have been even more interesting with the championship contenders fighting it out.
It's just like you've put all this practice in, you do reasonably well in qualifying, third in the grid, and you're kind of looking forward to the race, and then now you've disconnected and you have to wait till next week to prove yourself. And I mean, I think there's probably a little bit of discussion going on with the drivers because it's taking a very long time for them to start. As I say that, the countdown has now begun. So we've got 25 seconds till the race begins. The race will carry on without Limitless, unfortunately, guys. That's the rules. It's no different for him than it is for anybody in this league. And because otherwise, I mean, it would just take far too long if we were restarting for a disconnection every single time, and it just wouldn't work. So unfortunately, Codemasters can't give us custom grids so that we could, you know, place people in where they've just qualified, but we don't have that capability, so unfortunately the race goes on.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just
it's a shame, but it's still going to be a good race. It's still going to be a good race. We're going to enjoy it nevertheless. Obviously, we're missing one championship contender from this race, and Martin will be looking to capitalise on that. As much as that sounds horrible, Martin will obviously try and get as many points here this afternoon. So it's race time. It's the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's xMattyG commentating with you today. With you, I really can't do it when I'm hungover. I am commentating with Fisi Fan 91. We're on the grid and we are ready. The 3 red lights are on our screens now for the final lights up, and it's lights out and away we go for this Hungarian Grand Prix.
I like how we just driven off the grid there, man.
I know, I just casually pressed the accelerator just slightly. Anyway, Brochek getting a fantastic start now going down towards turn 1. And we have a Sauber looking up the inside of Brochek. Slightly, the Sauber's actually bouncing slightly, but Brochek still in the lead. We've got the Caterham of TRL Martin has put himself up into second place and has got round the outside of Orbit Pride. As we have a Williams diving up the inside of Orbit Pride, pushing him wide through turn 2, and that has caused him to lose a lot of time. However, Orbit Pride still in third position despite quite a monumental amount of lag going through that Sauber. Well, on my screen anyway it is. So now we're into the middle sector now for most of these drivers, and Martin is hunting down Brochek already, pretty much in his rear diffuser as we come through the chicane. A very difficult chicane, especially with heavy fuel. It's very hard, especially after qualifying when you've had like 1 or 2 laps of fuel to then go into a chicane like that with 35 laps of fuel. It's very different, and you have to be quite easy and relaxed about it. Anyway, so now coming through, well, it would be the middle sector split, and now into the last sector. Martin pretty much not under pressure from third place at the moment. Orbit Pride obviously with that impact with one of the Williams boys, and that would have been Yi22, who has made himself up into 4th place. He'll probably want to, you know, not get into any collisions or impacts, considering he's pretty much on his last warning, and he had an impact already with Orbit Pride, but fortunately nothing too major.
Yeah, gonna have to see what happens with that one, to be honest, because usually in some of these incidents it's been blamed on Yi's connection being bad, but on this one it actually looks like it was Orbit Pride that was lagging a bit, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, to be honest, but he seems to have settled down a little bit now. He goes through this turn 2 now, we're looking a little bit less like a UFO compared to the first lap when he went around there. I know Orbit Pride actually closing the gap to the top 2 a little bit, so I'm going to skip forward on the cameras to him, because it's right behind Martin now. But clearly translating that qualifying pace, which he failed to do obviously last time out when he qualified pole in Germany, and he crashed into the pit wall at the end of the first lap. Now he's at least reached lap 2. It's a better race for him so far this time out. And
no pit walls just yet.
In a chance for a podium.
No pit walls just yet for Orbit Pride, so I'm sure he'll be looking to have a much better performance here this weekend for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Martin.
Oh, this pit wall also pretty easy to hit.
Well, it's been known for Martin went slightly wide onto the runoff there as he slid through that right hander. Now coming through another left hander, which is renowned for sliding and trying to get on the power as quickly as you can. But the back end just saying, I'm not having any of that. The last corner now, a lot of different sort of lines the drivers like to take. Some like to take a really wide line and then to sort of kind of hit the apex, I suppose, of the corner, quite a late apex, whereas some just keep it quite tight. So it's quite interesting, and it could actually produce a few overtakes if there's a driver that just decides to take a wide line and not realise the car behind is actually quite close. And actually remember an incident with myself and ACR Raven where Raven kind of closed the door slightly hard, and I think I was on F1 2011, and then I had to make a comeback through the field, pitted one less time. I don't know if you remember this, Fisi, and putting myself actually into the lead of the race and then losing it on the last lap to Noble. So it was quite an impactful race, and it's quite an intense one, and I'm pretty sure, you know, it's quite a good track actually. You know, a lot of concentration is required because there are a lot of twisty technical corners, and right now, looking at the mini-map, it seems like the top four are getting away, Fizzy.
They are, and just taking on what you said, we had surprisingly many great races around here, to be honest, considering it is a tight and twisty track, a very technical circuit, and you know, not too many places to really have a run with overtake. It's only the main straight, really, which we will be coming up to now after the next corner for the first time in the race so far with DRS enabled, which is crucial. And yeah, as you say, top four indeed pulling away. There's a gap forming behind Yi, so Yi, Obit Pride and Martin will be having DRS. Brochik obviously in the lead at the head of the train. Will not Martin getting quite close to him in the braking for turn 1, but not really close enough to have a go on this occasion. I'm sure he'll have many more attempts later on in the race. And well, of course, yeah, second straight as well, going towards 32, also DRS there. Not quite as long as the main straight, so it's a harder one to pass with DRS, but important to note that it is there as well. So let me see who is in 5th at the moment. So Unleashed is kind of leading that best of the rest train then. And unfortunately only 10 drivers in the race at the moment, because obviously we were meant to have 13 drivers here today. Started off with Rio Haryanto not being able to connect to the session after you know, trying to change host and stuff, I think. And then obviously Less F1 disconnected at the start of the qualifying session, and then Limitless disconnected just before the race. So it's just, I don't know if it's Xbox 360, Xbox Live, or people's just general connection, or just Codemasters having a bit of a bad day today, but something's kind of conspiring against us having many finishers in this race.
Yeah, we've still got 10, fortunately. We haven't completely disconnected and exploded out of this game, so we'll move on and make sure that... Oh, as Brochek dives into the pits once again, so early at the start of this race, and I'm pretty sure lap 4 is quite an early pit stop. Let's see, let's have a look, and actually no, Martin is one of the only ones to have continued, as look at the amount of cars on that mini-map in the pits. So Martin doing what is pretty much known as the tier or limitless strategy.
And Brochek's been held up a bit, by the way.
Well, Brochek being held up, that could be quite costly. I don't think that will cost him the lead, but it will cost him the amount of time he is trying to gain with this undercut. However, it's not really an undercut, it's more just Martin and another driver under the name of Cryo Lockdown. Both of these guys carrying on. And I think Martin, I don't know, I think he's probably made a little bit of a mistake here, just like Limitless in terms of the track position, because he had two guys right behind him, and I don't think he'll be able to use the fresh tyres to his advantage, or enough so, because he's going to lose 2 positions and probably end up in 4th place when he comes out the pits.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, based on previous occasions, undercut has been very powerful. Remains to be seen how powerful it is around here. And yeah, obviously Martin helped it a little bit then by Brochek obviously been held up a bit in the pits, but he's still kind of leading out of the ones that have pitted, with Orbit Pride still just behind him. So yeah, Martin might lose out of the bottom, I reckon. Unleashed kind of, let's see, just Unleashed got NLR Evo for company, but they are out of slipstream range compared to Obit Pride and Brochek. So you would assume now Martin coming around the final corner to pit, responding to Brochek and the rest of the field going in, and Lockdown probably doing the same. And we're just going to stay on board with Brochek to see whether he gets past the pit exit before Martin comes out, basically.
Yep, so Martin just being released by his pit box now. I'm riding on board with him, and he's now coming out the pits. And I don't think he's going to be ahead of Brochek. He's not, but actually, no, it's going to be a lot closer than I even expected here. Martin is going to take the lead of the Grand Prix, possibly. They're side by side, going through turn 1, but Brochek, obviously with those warmer tyres, just about manages to get ahead, and the undercut has not proved particularly successful here. Martin thinking about a move into turn 2 there, but nothing doing. So,
flying Sauber behind again. Obit Pride going absolutely on a plane trip. It was at least 5 meters over the ground there.
Okay, that's
so
just for you, Fizzy, I think. I didn't see that.
All right.
That's why I was wondering why you were going but no. So quite interesting that Martin now has fresher tyres, has not lost any track time, and I'm not. Where's 4th place gone? Because there was 4 of them. There was a Williams. Where's that Williams gone of Yi? Yi has disappeared.
Yi, yeah.
Yi
might
is
have been
in
held
5th
up
place.
in the pits, or he, yeah, I'm not really sure, because yeah, he pitted on the same lap as Brošek and Obit Pride, but you know, just coming out of the pits, he was far behind, so I'm guessing he probably got held up or something like that.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, because he was already behind when they left the pits, as far as I could see, anyway.
I think we might see a change of the lead here, Fizzy, as we come round the final corner with the leading trio at the moment, but Martin will have DRS. He has some curves as well, which he is deploying now. Coming down the straight, Brošek's going defensive to the inside line. Martin pulls to the outside now, braking just after the 100-metre point into turn one, has already cleared Brošek before even having to do any sort of battling. So Brošek braking very early indeed, almost conceding the lead. Martin obviously getting DRS as well down this small straight, not particularly powerful or really creates any overtaking opportunities. Most of the overtaking opportunities we're going to see is going to be into turn one and then potentially into the last corner, but mainly into turn one, I'd say. But Martin takes the lead, has fresher tyres as well, so now it's going to be very crucial for Brošek to get back past Martin so that he can control the race and make sure Martin doesn't streak away with his one lap fresher primes.
Yeah, as Brošek runs a little bit wide on the second apex there off the chicane. Go back to the view of Orbit Pride as the top three are still very close, but yeah, big gap forming between third and fourth then. You can see in the middle there's a huge train from fourth downwards, which is led by Unleashed now, I think. But yeah, Martin has got himself into the best position here to take advantage of Limitless's very, very unfortunate disconnection before the race. And but I'm sure Brošek will be very eager to give him a good battle for it. Because Brošek, yes, we had to win. He had to win a race this season. He's had 2 second places, and
not close enough.
Finishes off the podium.
Not anywhere near close enough into turn one. Although Crofty probably would have said something along the lines of that he was close and trying to dive up the inside.
Oh my God, he's going to dive, Bob! But yeah,
but I think we're about to see Martin drive away and potentially win this race if Brošek can't do anything about it. Orbit Pride not particularly quick either, behind in third place, and these two drivers look like they are struggling compared to Martin. And you know, considering how close qualifying was, it seems like Martin has the upper hand with the race pace.
Yep, as he has had many times so far this season already. He's obviously won 5 out of the 8 races we've been to, and he's just, you know, apart from the few races he's done badly, it's been usually he's made some uncharacteristic mistakes during the races, but the 5 that he has won, he's basically just showed incredible race pace, you know, completely without mistakes, and yeah, it could well be another one of those today. You can always see on the minimap that he's really, really pulling a gap to Brošek, as he said, and yeah, I'm kind of, you know, just from a spectator's point of view, I'm hoping that Brošek can keep up with him. It doesn't look particularly like it at the moment.
I've been riding on board with Brošek this lap, and he is all over the place. He took the chicane badly and lost the back end, sliding through there. He also slid through one of the other corners in Sector 3 and he ran wide onto the curb. So I think Brošek really is struggling at the moment. And as you can see, Martin has pulled away an absolute chunk at the start of this lap 9 now, as you can see. And it looks like Orbit Pride having a look to the outside slightly going into turn 1. Nothing doing there because Brošek had the line.
But get a better exit.
Yeah, much better exit, as you say, Fizzy. Orbit Pride now looking to the inside into turn 2 with the DRS as well. And Brošek a little bit later on the brakes this time. So, it's quite close to Brošek's left rear there. But Brošek maintains second place for now. But whilst these two battle, Martin is just going to say thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the thing. As you know, not only does it seem like Martin has a pace on these guys, but when these guys, you know, make each other go defensive lines and stuff like that during while battling as well, then that's going to cost him even more time to Martin. So he's just looking very, very pretty for him at the moment, and we've seen some of those races earlier this season with him running away, and yeah, like I said before, it's looking like another one of those. But I'm sure that we'll see some good battles, as the Brošek has actually pulled out some time on Orbit Pride. So Brošek's done a very good middle sector here, unlike what he seemed to be doing on the previous lap.
Almost actually caught kind of struggling to keep Martin, up there. Actually, he closed the gap slightly, well, on this lap anyway, so I wasn't actually riding on board with him. But Brošek, yeah, definitely a much better lap this time out, and I'm hoping he's going to improve on his 20.7 fastest lap as we come round the final corner with him. Slightly squirmy on the exit, and no, he won't improve actually. I think he's in the sort of mid 121s at the moment. Actually, that'd be worth having a look at. Oh, Martin's fastest lap is 1.1 seconds quicker than Brošek's, and they're on the same tyre. Obviously, 1 lap fresher.
Holy crap!
But Martin put a 19.6 in the lap after he pitted, and a 19.8, and then a 20.9. So must have put it up into rich and really pushed, because Brošek is in the 121s at the moment.
good tactics, to be honest. Just put it up to Rich when you know you have the chance to break away, get that gap, get him out of the slipstream, and then obviously you can do the fuel saving later on if you got the gap and you are in a comfortable position anyway. Good tactic from Martin there, if that is what indeed he has done. I'm just on board with the a little bit at the moment because he's quite close behind Unleashed in that train from 4th downwards. Well, they are the cars pretty close behind. There's a 5-car train then. 4th down to what would that be? 8th, I think. My maths aren't too badly constructed in my brain. So we got Leebot in 6th and Jason in 7th. And who is that then in 8th? That would be Rio Lockdown. Take a bit of a curve taken through that corner there. So yeah, I think we'll get some good racing going on throughout this race, but maybe not for the lead as it stands.
No, not as it stands, but you can see on the mini-map how close it is between 4th all the way down to, I think that is 9th or 10th possibly. But
8th at the moment, I think. Although, where is this?
No, it is 9th. It's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Oh no, it is, sorry, 4th to 8th, but very close into turn 1. Toro Rosso there. I'm not sure who that was. It is Leobot. So Leobot getting very close to the Williams of Yi22 as I changed camera to find out who it was. But Yi obviously has fallen away from the leaders despite having quite a promising qualifying and start to the race, but then losing a lot of time in the pit stops and running very wide indeed through that left-hander.
Ooh! Lockdown also almost losing it a bit on the curb. Oh, I have bad memories from that curb on the outside of that kind of blind kink there.
Is that when you caused a safety car?
Might have been potentially. It was that season 8 when I just did a bit of a uncharacteristic DNF into the wall there and caused the league's first ever safety car.
Limitless had a few choice words to say about you when you caused the safety car just as he was about to pass me on fresher tyres.
Yep, and I'm sure you were thanking me very
I was thanking my lucky stars when I saw that safety car come out, because he then had to pit as well and then got held up, and it was just amazing for me. Obviously terrible for him and very unlucky, but that's racing, and it's much better that those kind of things happen than disconnecting and not having any sort of choice over what happens. Yi squirming out of that last corner and can't really do much at the moment with regards to taking 4th place away from TSR Unleashed. But right now, Martin obviously out front and quite comfortable, and it does seem like Brošek has definitely got the sort of jump on Orbit Pride and has pulled away about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds.
Yep, but I think Brošek's... He's looking at that one lap where Martin just really pulled away. I think Brošek's gotten himself together a little bit from that, but yeah, he's probably not gaining on Martin as Jason taking... Oh my word! Oh, okay, that's why he was taking a very tight line into the king, because just behind the view there, Creo Lockdown was coming around the outside to pass him.
He's made a big mistake in going into the chicane. He's going to lose the position to Yi. Round the outside goes Yi, and he's up into 4th place. Unleashed just almost forgetting to turn into the chicane there, and has lost a position to Yi now, obviously very close to him and may well have a chance with DRS coming out the final corner and down towards turn 1, but a very uncharacteristic error from TSR Unleashed there, and it just seemed like he completely forgot to turn into the chicane.
Yeah, and because Unleashed, he kind of struck me as a kind of a consistent driver so far this season. Doesn't really get himself involved in much. Although these two guys, Unleashed and Yi, they did have it coming together on the final lap of Silverstone.
Brošek already in the pits, I think, Fisi.
Oh yeah, that's true.
No, not Brošek, it's not actually. It's Orbit Pride that's in the pits, I think.
Okay.
So a very early pit stop from Orbit Pride.
Got side by side with Unleashed and Yi. And Yi, oh, it's very close. Yi on the inside line, just about getting himself across the track before Unleashed was in his way. I think they had a tiny bit of contact, but didn't really seem to slow them down. And Unleashed has had to set behind again. Oh, position has been changed. So yeah, Orbit Pride. Out of the pits now by now, surely.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I think he's just coming down that straight now.
He's obviously got a massive amount of clean air to try to get an undercut on Brošek. I assume will be his intention for pitting that early.
Very early pit stop there, because I'm pretty sure they're looking to go sort of 10 laps for each stint on the primes, and he's pitted after eight laps, I think. Yeah, 8 laps on the primes. So he's going to really have to push his stints now till the end of the race. And I think he's just trying to get track position on Brošek and thinks probably that he is pretty sort of relaxed in 3rd place and he has to do something different to try and get in front of Brošek and stay there.
Yeah, that's Martin. That's not gone into the pits. Let's see what Brochek does behind. Martin carries on in the lead. Brochek does also stay out. So, as you say, very, very early pit stop from Orbit Pride, considering, you know, the earliest anyone else is going to pit compared to him is 2 laps later. So, interesting to see. As we do have one more car in the pits, actually. I'm seeing it on the minimap.
Oh, contact. And that was Yi getting hit behind from TSR Unleashed. And they're now going to be side by side going into turn 2 underneath the Pirelli sign. Yi has the inside line for this left-hander. I don't think Unleashed can do much. However, Yi runs wide and Unleashed does a lovely little dive up the inside and takes third position away from Yi. Yi just being far too aggressive on the brakes, leaving the inside for that left-hander open to Unleashed, who then gets completely hit off by Yi. And I'm not sure if that's lag or not, but I mean, the drivers are still saying that you can't be having that happen. So Yi pushing TSR Unleashed completely off the track there, and nothing he could do. Yi then cutting the chicane as well. Probably a little bit frustrated that he left the door open for TSR Unleashed through turn 2. And now, let's see, Yi, oh gosh, Yi very squirmy through that left-hander as well. And now has lost quite a bit of time to Unleashed and may not be able to challenge him going into the next lap.
Yeah, as Leibot managed to close the gap down a little bit. Oh, he's not going to close the gap any further by going wide like that. And I assume he'll now have actually... Is that Jason not far behind as well for company? So that means that it was Creel lockdown that also went in the pits, as now the rest of the field are coming in. And no, I think there's one guy that's carried on actually. Potentially Tyrrell Martin. Because he obviously did pit a lap later than most people on the first stop. But Brochek will have been in the pits. So I need to find him to see where he's compared to Orbit Pride then. Here's Brochek in P3 at the moment. So is that Orbit Pride has gone towards turn 2 now?
Orbit Pride is in turn 2 right now, yes.
Indeed. That's it. That is a much bigger undercut than we saw on the first stop anyway.
Yeah, he's put a 19.3 in, and he's 3 seconds quicker than Martin out in front. And I mean, if Martin pits at the end of this lap, it's going to be quite close. That
is just totally wide open. I mean, the undercut on this game is just insane sometimes.
Considering that Brochek didn't make it work at all, with regards to Martin, Orbit Pride has managed to dial his tyres in. Martin running very wide. I think he's pushing very hard, thinking, how quickly is Orbit Pride actually catching me? Because it'll be interesting to see how close they were. I don't know. I think it was probably a little bit... I think Martin might be safe, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Because looking at the mini-map, I think it's going to be reasonably close.
Yeah, well, he's only a couple of corners away from him, is Orbit Pride. That's an incredible amount of time is gained there in clean air on the fresh tyres. But you have to obviously remember that if these guys come out together now, Martin will be having a quite big advantage of 2 laps fresher tyres, even more so than the 1 lap fresher tyres he had previously.
100%, yeah, he's easily taken the lead.
He's past him now, wow.
So
Orbit Pride leads.
Orbit Pride takes the lead, which has instilled a little bit of excitement into this race. Obviously, Martin, as you say, is going to have a much quicker stint than Orbit Pride. Pride is going to have to put in some serious amounts of just grinding and trying to stay on the track, because he's going to have to push those primes to at least lap sort of 25 to make sure that his last stint isn't too slow. So Orbit Pride just kind of putting everything out there. And I mean, he probably only did this to try and get past Brochek. And he now finds himself in the lead with about a 3-second gap.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Also,
he did not expect these guys to go after him very fast.
As well, Fisi, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just on board with him right now, you can see. Don't think... Obviously, Brochek will surely be pushing hard right now. If I was Brochek in this situation, I'd put the fuel up to rich to just try and get into the DRS range of Martin ahead, yeah. Still saving a bit of curse. So, I think it's just outside it, unfortunately for him. That could be crucial, because even though...
I don't think he's close enough now.
Tight and twisted track, it's quite crucial around here to have DRS on the
hard, but he's corner cutting, and he needs to be careful of that, because we're watching Brochek.
Obviously, we are watching very Hawkeye-like, when we can be bothered. But yeah, we can get the answer now as to whether he has DRS, and he does not, as expected.
19.8, his fastest lap of the race, but not really anywhere near what Orbit Pride set, which was a 19.3, which is just absolutely crazy. And you have to kind of wonder where this pace has just come from, because obviously Martin will start to catch him, and will be having his fast part of the stint right now. Orbit Pride obviously will probably start to feel the wear ever so slightly at this point in the stint, so it's going to be interesting. And they might bunch up here, Fizz, and we could have quite a fascinating battle. And I think it's more as Martin runs wide. I think it's kind of more to do with how close Brochek can get to Martin, because I think Brochek is in a much better position. Obviously, not on the same tyre strategy as Martin, but not as different as it is with Orbit Pride.
Yeah. So I'm just going to mention... Oh, as Creel Lockdown there goes pretty much on the grass. I don't know, that looked a bit weird. It might have been some kind of lag involved there. But if it wasn't any lag, then it looked like a great save from Lockdown. Keep it out of the wall there. He's obviously now in P7 defending from Jason, who's just behind. Who's that guy in the last then? P9. I thought it was 10 drivers racing, but NLR Evo is running P9 and last on the track at the moment. So he must have had some kind of massive issues, because that's a huge gap down to him. Whereas the other guys are reasonably close together, you have to say. And Yi now in P6. And at least in P5, so they've actually dropped a position as Yi runs. Oh my! No, okay, that's like. He looked to be heading completely for the wall at the final corner, but now actually has the DRS run on Unleashed, who goes defensive. He goes to the outside. I'm gonna try to find a better camera, and bit of contact, but it looked very weird as well. There's some weird movements going on from certain cars. So I think there's just some connection issues either on my part or from some of the drivers in this race, and Unleashed stays ahead in P5 for now. So who's that in fourth then? That must be Leobot that is running in fourth, and I suspect he will also have had an undercut, because we did see one guy in the midfield coming in the lap after Orbit Pride and one lap ahead of most of the other guys. I assume Leobot has pulled off a cheeky undercut there to get himself ahead of Unleashed and Yi.
Speaking of undercuts, we will have a fight for the lead very shortly indeed. I think Martin might even try to overtake Orbit Pride at the end of the straight that we are about to come onto. So Orbit Pride coming through the penultimate corner now. He's going to have to get a really good exit here through this final corner to even have a chance of staying ahead of Martin, and for our sake, and Martin's actually saved half a bar of curves as well. Orbit Pride is going to be a sitting duck here as Martin just pulls to the inside. Orbit Pride does not go defensive, and Martin retakes the lead. Brochek nowhere at the moment, and Martin once again showing the pace and being able to pull away from his compatriots, and obviously with those fresher tyres, but he's making it work. And when he stayed out a lap later onto lap 5 with those options, they couldn't capitalise, and Brochek couldn't use the fresh primes to his advantage, and I think Martin really has this strategy nailed.
Yeah, I think is even though it's quite unusual, well, unlike on certain previous tracks where Martin really has, you know, in the battles with Limitless, really gotten the upper hand on Limitless by doing the undercut strategy, but here he seems to have the upper hand by, you know, on the undercut drivers that's trying to get him with that strategy. I think, to be honest, I think Martin's just got a pace here. I think he's looking very comfortable behind the wheel right now, whereas Orbit Pride now with obviously 2 laps worse tires for wear, but he's looking a lot more, you know, error-prone throughout this lap anyway, compared to Martin, and Orbit Pride now being caught by Brochek as well. So we might have another DRS move heading into the turn 1 on lap 20. Yes, we're already over halfway the race. That's gone incredibly quickly, to be perfectly honest with you, as it usually does.
I don't know if we've like fallen asleep like halfway through and we've just woken up at 20.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Opening DRS once again. Orbit Pride not really using much curse to defend, and Brochek takes second place away from Orbit Pride into turn 1 very nicely indeed. Hits that apex, and Brochek safely now onto that second step of the podium. Can he do anything about Martin? I don't think he can, and we're now back to what we were originally before Orbit Pride decided to do a very different strategy. It'll be interesting to see if Orbit does it again and gets ahead of Martin again, but that'll be interesting to see. However, we kind of realised that with the tyre degradation, these strategies, although they provide a little bit of spice, a few overtakes, at the end of the day, they don't really work when they're as extreme as what Orbit Pride tried to do.
Yeah, that's the thing I seem to remember as well from experience of racing here myself. Tyre deg around Hungary is insane.
Yeah.
It's obviously a very hard track on the tyres with many sweeping corners, kind of a lot of high-speed corners, to be honest, in this middle sector, high to mid-speed corners. That's really putting strain on the tyres, and yeah, it's going to be hard for Orbit Pride if he does pit 2 laps earlier again compared to Brochek and Martin. I think he's going to really, really be struggling towards the end of the race.
Most definitely. So, let's have a look and see what's going down.
Oh, he does pit now, actually. Orbit Pride does pit now. So he's pitting with 15 laps to go.
He must be going on to options. He must be going on
a different strategy. Must be.
Let's
yeah,
have a look and see. I'm going to go sit on board with him and see what tyres he chooses.
So the thing with Orbit Pride then is actually he's all the way thinking that maybe. Well, yeah, I think. No, yeah, I think options only good for like 5 laps right now, or 5 or 6.
That is true, actually, yeah.
Maybe he'll do another stop for the options. That's the thing.
But he's now down in 7th place. He is like thrown away an easy 3rd place if he'd stayed out a few laps later, to now putting himself under pressure to now have to overtake all these cars ahead of him. That you know, they are going to be slower, of course. However, he's got to get through all of them by the time they next pit.
Yeah, basically, and that's going to be hard around the track like this, where they only have one major overtaking spot, and he still has some gap to close down before he can start to make those moves as well. So, yeah, well, we've been thinking that Orbit Pride might have an outside shot for the lead, or definitely a podium. He's done a strategy that's made it a little bit exciting for us, in the sense of kind of a false sense of he might be in with shots, but he's actually seemingly doing 1 stop more than everyone else in the race. So yeah, it's going to be very hard for him now to get back up to the podium positions. Yes,
it's a very strange call from him there, and I mean it's interesting because obviously he has the pace, he has a lot of pace in him. You can see that with that 19.3 that he put in, which is still the fastest lap of the race as far as I'm aware. And you know, it's kind of just strange that someone of that pace can't seem to sort of just construct a strategy that would work, which everybody else is doing. Obviously, I know he's trying to do something different, but at the same time, what he's doing here is jeopardising his potential result of 3rd place, which was in the bag, obviously barring any errors. And now he's putting his own race at risk, purely maybe to have a bit more fun, be a bit quicker throughout the race. Maybe he doesn't enjoy tyre wear, who knows? But either way, I guess it's going to be interesting for us and better for us, so we can watch him overtake a few people.
He'll certainly be the man to watch for the rest of this race.
Yeah, definitely, him coming through the pack. But at the same time, probably not, in terms of a driver's perspective, the most ideal strategy.
No, definitely, and yeah, like I said, it's weird because of the pace he's shown, and he's now just about closing up to his first target then. Out of the 4 guys he has to pass if he wants to get back up to the podium position. And he's closing very, very fast on Jason. I don't think he'll go for a dive bomb here. Sensibly does not do that. Oh, he takes a lot of the curb, and Jason actually might have a move here into the penultimate corner. They're going kind of side by side. Here we go. Orbit Pride pulling alongside with a better grip through the corner. Jason hanging on really well. Doesn't want to hit that pit wall. And Orbit Pride holding it round the outside just with a better grip, the fresher tires, and also has the DRS to pull away. Although Jason keeping up pretty well in the slipstream actually. But Orbit Pride has that 6th place then, and not too far behind TSR Unleashed. I think that is in P5. So actually, I think 3rd and 4th
I was going to say, I just saw that down the road. It's between Leobot and Yi, I believe. These two very close indeed, and I think Yi's actually just got past Leobot. Possibly, I think Leobot because he went longer, I think, than everybody else. So I'm not sure. Maybe Leobot's catching Yi. I'm not so sure, but. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see how, because Yi's no slouch. I mean, he's very quick, and he's got the fastest lap of a 19.4, which is only a 10th slower than what Orbit Pride's been capable of doing. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if Yi is able to actually, as he runs very wide again, see what Yi can do about Orbit Pride. Because I think if anybody is going to deny him a 3rd place, I think it will be him,
and Orbit Pride's strategy.
Yeah, and Orbit Pride's strategy, of course. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It just really does depend of how quickly he gets through these slower cars, because right now he's losing a lot of time because he's sat behind people with obviously the slower tyres. And the fact is there aren't many overtaking opportunities, as you mentioned. You know, it's into turn 1 and it's not much else.
Speaking of overtaking, Orbit Pride just easily passing Unleashed there for 5th place with the DRS. And to be honest, I would still keep Orbit Pride as the favourite for the podium, considering he can get on those nice options on the last stint, whereas these guys on their final stop will have to go onto another set of primes, presumably to get to the end. As Orbit Pride already going for the move on Leobot through the corners, turn 3 and 4, where you don't really expect any moves to be made, but he's made it. He just got so much better exit out of turn 2. Leobot also running a bit wide on the kink there. So Orbit Pride making very fast work of these guys actually. So yeah, I think he actually hasn't thrown away a podium after all. He just made himself work a lot more hard for it.
Definitely. And I think it'll be interesting to see if the connection holds out with Yi, because obviously Yi's had a few incidents across the season so far. Obviously getting a penalty in the last time out in Nürburgring. And I think, again, that's another thing. I mean, why is Orbit Pride putting himself in this situation to potentially have an incident as he looks up the inside of Yi, which is brave, into the penultimate corner? They're now going to be side by side.
He does leave him room though.
There's Orbit Pride. And where is Yi in comparison? He is going to dive into the pits. So Orbit Pride now, well, obviously Yi will then come out ahead of Orbit Pride once again when Orbit makes his final pit stop. So it's going to be quite close, I think, between those two. And we've got Martin coming out the pits, and Pride not being able to clear him purely because he was stuck in traffic, and he couldn't.
This would be interesting if Pride didn't have to stop again.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been much better. But unfortunately, Martin on those brand spanking new Prime tyres, and Orbit Pride will have to make another pit stop. And Brošek quite far back now in third place at the moment, and will have to pass Orbit Pride once again.
Yeah, and the thing with Orbit Pride, considering he will now have the tyre disadvantage for the next 5 or so laps until he goes on those options, or maybe next 4 laps compared to the guys he just passed, because they will all now be on the fresher primes. So maybe he'll have to pass him again on those options after he comes out. So I think we might be in store to see a few more nice Orbit Pride overtakes. Maybe he's just pulled out his strategy just to be kind of the star of the race, give us some overtakes to look at.
He's doing it for us. He's not doing it for himself. Of course not. It's all for us and the entertainment. So thank you, Orbit.
As long as they get himself back to third, then why not?
I guess it's better for us, isn't it, really? Let's be real. To actually see some overtaking, because right now this hasn't been the most climatic and exciting Hungarian Grand Prix of recent times, and mainly because there's only 9 drivers left, which is not great to see. And actually, I think it is 9 drivers, because Leobot's quite close. So yeah, 9 drivers left. 9th place of NLR Evo, who is the Monaco winner.
Indeed, yes.
Just absolutely nowhere. It's mind-boggling. I don't understand how someone can be so quick round Monaco and then be nowhere for the rest of the season. Like,
it's weird, isn't it? Yeah, it's let's see Evo's results. Actually, his best result, apart from that Monaco race, was his debut race at China, where he got 5th. But apart from that, it's been 8th, and 13th, and a disconnection.
Maybe he doesn't have time to practice or something, and maybe he actually had time to practice for Monaco. Who knows?
Or just was extra motivated for Monaco.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he knew his pace, exactly, yeah. It's very interesting that I can't get my head around it. There must be a reason behind it. So, NLR Evo, if there is a reason for your lack of pace, then please do send your answer on a postcard, please. Anyway, back to the action, and I think Brošek is closing in on Orbit Pride, and we might be able to see an overtake reasonably soon, as Pride's tyres will start to be feeling the heat as we come through the final corner and onto the straight. Brošek saving a little bit of his curves. I don't think he's going to be close enough to even have any sort of go into turn 1. Brošek's fastest lap now is an 18.8. Let's see what Martin's is. Martin is an 18.2. which just underlines how quick Martin is around this track. And it would have been really interesting to see where Limitless would have ended up in all of this. And I'm pretty sure we would have been having quite a close fight between Martin and Limitless. But instead, Orbit Pride's actually run wide out of turn 2, which has got dirt all over his tyres. Fortunately for him, stayed ahead of Brošek just about. And Brošek obviously is quite a lot, as he runs very wide as well. And you'd think it's single file. But Brošek wanted to do some exploring there through that left-hander. But yeah, this part of the track is pretty much non-existent in terms of overtaking, and also track limits apparently for Brošek and that chicane. But anyway, following through the dirty air, very, very prominent in this part of the circuit where it's very technical, and you rely a lot on downforce going through these medium-speed corners. And Brošek struggling a little bit in that dirty air, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to have any more of that to worry about come the end of this lap.
Nope, the middle sector obviously all about just if you're behind someone wanting to have a move, it's all about just staying behind close enough. As Orbit Pride now goes into the pits, so we won't actually see Brošek pulling off a move. So I'm gonna jump on board with Orbit Pride, because what is interesting now is where he will come out. We expect him to go onto the option tires. It'll be, he's on the primes again actually. Huh. He's going to go for a 7-lap stint on the primes for some reason.
Well, you just know,
I guess
lap 7 laps is far too much for the options.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean,
so he's going to be very close.
Oh, look at this,
Who's
3
that?
abreast into turn 1, and there's a little bit of contact
Leobot, I think.
between the Toro Rosso and the Red Bull, and Orbit Pride is going to go down to 7th place, so cannot...
Didn't even see the Red Bull.
Yeah, it was 3 abreast going into turn 1 there. That was pretty scary. And Orbit Pride coming out just behind these two that are battling very hard indeed. Kind of in the middle of their last stint at the moment is Unleashed and Leobot, and they are fighting very hard for those 10 points from this Grand Prix. So Leobot in 5th place at the moment, just ahead of Unleashed. And I'm pretty sure it's not the end of this fight as we go into the middle sector. As we said, single file through here, but the last sector, and especially the last couple of corners, is where the overtaking opportunities open up. So I think this is probably the only kind of overtakes action we're going to get. So we're going to probably continue to follow these guys. I'll have a look just up the road and see what Yi and TS Cryo Lockdown are saying. Cryo Lockdown in 3rd place at the moment. And
is he really?
I'm not sure how he's managed that, to be honest. And he's coming into the pits, that's why. So Lockdown on a different strategy as well. I'm not sure. Oh, he almost loses the back end and into the wall there, into the pits. But fortunately for him, did not make any contact with those barriers. So Cryo Lockdown coming into the pits now will most likely go onto the option tyres. You'd like to think he's going to. He is not going on the options. He's going on to some primes as well, so...
Even 6 laps is too long for the options then, according to these guys.
So, although I think 6
laps
is
insane.
Probably is worth it to go on the options, if they're fresh. Depends how many runs he did on qualifying, I suppose, as to whether or not they actually had fresh tyres. But quite close, actually, if I look on the minimap between 7... Oh, gosh, very close indeed, actually. Jason got a great view of Orbit Pride trying to find a way through this Red Bull and this Toro Rosso, but has not managed to do it. And I think it's quite crucial, actually. He's going to have to make his move somewhere other than turn 1, purely because the car in front of him, the Red Bull, will have DRS from the smaller team of the Toro Rosso. And I think it's quite crucial that TSR Unleashed stays in DRS of Leobot, because if he doesn't, he's going to be a sitting duck and will lose that 5th place like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. And he's been put a little bit under pressure here, actually. But he's going to break late enough. There's a touch, actually. Orbit Pride on the rear of Unleashed. And he's going to now be under pressure from Jason around the penultimate corner. So I think Unleashed just had a bit of a slow corner, which caught Orbit Pride off guard. And he obviously touched his rear end. You know, not really any dirtier or something, because obviously caught out by Unleashed having a poor corner. But now he's catching right back up to Unleashed again. He's going to go for the dive bomb. Is he very close into turn 1 there? So close to touching his rear tyre again, but doesn't make contact this time, just about. And he has to settle behind again. Orbit Pride obviously now starting to feel the pressure a little bit potentially, because, yeah, like you said, I thought he would have an easy job in the last few laps to get past these guys again. You know, thinking that he would be on the option tyres at this stage. But now he's on the primes, and only like 3 laps fresher primes as well. It's not that much of a difference. Yeah, he's actually going to have to do a lot of the hard work himself, rather than being helped by, you know, the outside factors like the tires. So, yeah, Unleashed not at all making it easy for him. And while these guys are battling, Leobot pulling out a little gap, and Yi is even further ahead. So I think Yi is kind of cementing 3rd at the moment, unless Orbit Pride can really get a move on very soon.
Orbit Pride putting himself under a lot of pressure, which I did say he was doing, and obviously expecting him to go on to options, didn't really think it through, and now obviously on these primes, not quick enough to just sail past them. I think he will probably get past Unleashed now, because Unleashed has fallen out of DRS range, which is the crucial factor. He goes defensive to the inside. I think he's using a lot of his curves as well. Going towards turn 1, it's going to be very close now, as we're going to be side by side. And Orbit Pride, a little bit of contact actually, I think, with the Red Bull, and does not get through again. We start lap 31, we have 4 laps to go, and Orbit Pride has 3 overtakes to do. I don't think he's going to be able to catch Yi, who's in 3rd place at the moment.
No, considering it's in the middle of the gap between Yi and Leobot, from 3rd on to 4th. It's certainly a few seconds anyway, and Orbit Pride is actually... Wait, where is... I feel like in the middle of the gap's close to Yi, has it? Because only a chicane between them now. I feel like it was more a couple of laps ago, and I saw it before. But yeah, Jason really just keeping up with this battle with Orbit Pride and Unleashed, and this is what we'll probably be looking at for the rest of this race, to be honest. seeing if Orbit Pride can make his 3-ish lap less worn tires work to get through the field, but Unleashed really defending handsomely well at the moment. Doesn't want to lose that 5th place. I'm just going to look at the results this season so far. Unleashed has had a couple of podiums this season, whereas Orbit Pride has not. Orbit Pride's best result so far this season is a 4th place at the Spanish Grand Prix. So yeah,
so
you'd like to think that he
had a podium. Sorry.
He has not had a podium.
And he had one in, one in the bag as he goes up the inside, finally of Unleashed into turn 1. Can he make it stick? Unleashed actually looking to the outside, trying to get better traction, but with Orbit Pride obviously being much fresher tyres, he's going to unleash a lot more of his curves, and he's going to clear Unleashed going into turn 2. And I thought he actually broke quite late then, but he's absolutely fine. Up into 5th place now. Next target is the Toro Rosso of Leobot, and he has some serious moves to do if he wants to catch Yi in 3rd place.
Yeah, so we got 3.5 laps to go, and you know, Orbit Pride, he can sure see Yi just far in the distance going through the chicane right now, just exiting now as Leobot and Orbit Pride go into the chicane. So he'll certainly be pushing. Whether it be enough remains to be seen. If I reckon that if for Orbit Pride to have any sort of chance, he needs to pass Leobot the next time they reach the main straight, and for him to do that, he really needs to close the gap in the next couple of corners here. He will have DRS, but I don't think, unless he can do some lovely last few corners there, he will be close enough. But he is closing a bit of that corner, carrying a good amount of speed. And again, nice and close to the pit wall. Getting good exit. Yeah, I think it will be close enough here, actually. He's gained in the last 2 corners. Using the curse to start the lap as well. Leobot goes defensive, but Orbit Pride finds the space on the inside regardless. Goes off the inside into turn 1. Oh, and Leobot... Oh, no, there was a bit of lag again on my screen anyway. It looked like Leobot was going to try and Unleashed and hang around the outside, but indeed he slotted in behind. So Orbit Pride gets himself up to 4th place, but now he's got 3 laps to chase after this man Yi, and you can see the gap there. Kind of half of that straight just went through there as Yi goes very wide there again.
So I was on board with Orbit there. I think he needs to stay on the track. I know he wants to try and catch Yi, but at the same time he needs to respect track limits.
Yeah, I need to have a word with quite a few of these guys, because there's been a lot of off tracks, although spectator cam can, as we've mentioned before, be a bit...
Orbit Pride almost flying into the wall there as he lost it on the curb. That was close, and Orbit Pride pushing like no tomorrow. I think he will catch Yi. That's my first sort of opinion on it. I think he will catch Yi by probably the final lap, because Yi obviously will be on much worse tyres than what Orbit Pride is on, and the drop-off is quite bad. So I think if Orbit Pride can be consistent in these last few laps, we may well have a pretty good ding-dong battle on the final lap of the race.
Yeah, just going back to my point about the spectator cam, because as we mentioned before, the spectator cam has been... There's been some cases of the spectator cam exaggerating people as off tracks quite a bit compared to what they're actually seeing in the race, but I feel like there's been so many clear off tracks in this so far that I might have to be a bit angry afterwards. But yeah, I reckon these guys aren't doing it on purpose at all, because they are come to AOR to drive cleanly, but are just pushing so hard, just trying to get every single ounce they can out in terms of pace. Let's see, that's how we do it over Pride. Now he's taking a very nice line through that King, actually. See, that's what I like to see. So although we get a bit angry when we see corner gaps, but we have to praise them as well when they take some nice lines.
When they stay inside the white lines, like they should. Yeah. Actually, I take it back.
Like they do occasionally.
I take it back about Orbit Pride. He's not going to catch Yi at all. He has lost third place, I think, here with a stupid strategy, if you don't mind me saying, because it was ridiculous. Unless Yi makes some sort of catastrophic error in this last lap, I think he has got Orbit Pride just about in his back pocket. And as I say this, it seems like they're getting so much closer, and he may well be right behind him by the end of this lap, and I may well completely go against what I just said, and potentially Orbit Pride might actually catch him, and okay, I've changed my mind. He's going to catch him and overtake him.
But the problem he'll got, though, is that the finish line is right at the start of the main straight, so he won't get the chance to pass him with DRS the next time around. So you'll have to do it somewhere on this lap in the slower straight, so somewhere in the corners. So yeah, it is the final lap. You can see on the minimap Martin actually only got the final sector to go before he wins the race. So Matt, you need to get ready to
I'm ready.
take him across the line here. And yeah, Brošek looking very solid in second.
Oh,
actually,
Martin making a humongous mistake. I just went on board with him. He's hit the curb and almost flown into the wall. Martin, a massive scare. And in the middle, sort of the last part of that middle sector, he's hit that curb so hard, Fisi. I'm not even joking. He has flown all the way onto the grass, and I'm pretty sure he has need to change his underwear at the end of this race. However, he comes round the final corner, not that far ahead of Brošek. But here we go. Martin is going to win just about the Hungarian Grand Prix with Brošek coming up in second in this contact.
Oh!
Pride hits Yi very hard indeed and will give Yi the position back.
Yeah.
And, well, I did say that he would catch him, and I didn't change my mind, obviously. But Yi's going to come round the final corner and take that podium. And although Orbit Pride is
oh my,
hitting him and pushing him over the line.
What happened there?
And
I'm not sure what happened there, to be honest.
I think if Orbit Pride had actually just been a little bit more relaxed, he may well have even been able to take him on that final corner. But either way, comes home in 4th place as Orbit Pride. But wow, that was close with Martin there.
Yeah, well, obviously didn't catch that on the stream. What on earth happened with him when he was screaming here alongside? But sounded like a very close call, and he'll be happy to get to the end then, considering that scare, take the win, and Brošek with a solid second, completely by himself in the end, and yeah, close finish for 3rd with a bit, obviously Orbit Pride hitting Yi on the penultimate corner. But then giving the place back, and then there was some kind of weird stuff going on as they went towards the line, and I think we're going to have to look back at that because, yeah, I think for me it looks like he just turned into Orbit Pride towards the line there. But again, don't know if that's something to do with lag. He may not blame it on lag again, as he's done for many
5
incidents
seconds,
so
take
far.
us through the results.
Oh shit, Martin Brošek, Yi, Orbit Pride, Leibert, and leaves Jason. Fuck!
Oh, God, Fisi, you had one job.
I'm sure we remember what
That was
happened.
brilliant, though. Oh, shit!
Well, that was a race. So there's Martin celebrating, even though he's actually left the
I
lobby
got a
already.
point, by the way, for not even racing.
Oh, nice, man. I'll add you to the
Thank you,
standing.
please do. I got a point.
Yeah, what can we say about that race?
I don't know. I think it was an intriguing one in terms of the actual strategy and things involved. But I think that it was quite a good race. I think obviously with Limitless disconnecting, it kind of took away that factor of Martin versus Limitless. But apart from that, I think it was quite an enjoyable race. Obviously there was moments of dullness, and I'm just happy I got a point.
But yeah, an interesting race, I think, as you say. Some interesting stuff with quite a bit of battling, and obviously Orbit Pride strategy, throwing up some surprises here and there. Yeah, obviously the biggest shame of the race, Limitless disconnecting, meaning that Martin extends the lead from 11 points to what will be 36 in the championship
36,
standings.
that's got to hurt. That has got to hurt. And well, we'll see if Limitless is able to pick himself back up to race next week. But
Hope so. He usually digs himself down a bit, doesn't he, after disconnections, which is fair enough, considering it's such a bad feeling when it happens.
oh, it's terrible, isn't it? It really is. It really is. But guys, thank you very much for watching this Hungarian Grand Prix for the AOR F1 2013 League. We've actually managed it, Fisi. We've survived the live stream. What with me being hungover,
We have. This is insane.
35 hours into not sleeping, and
Pretty much, yep.
anything else you'd like to say before we go?
I'm off for a 7-week sleep, so I'll see you later.
So guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll be in the chat for about 5-10 minutes just to speak to you guys before we go. And follow the channel if you're still here and you haven't. And until next week, we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.